So constantly, I make judgments myself, and I have to confront my inner self. Why did you make that judgment based on their speech? All right. So all I'm saying is that this is not sort of me, the great informed one, teaching you. It's confronting these prejudices within myself. Okay, so what's the rationale for programs? And we're going to demonstrate some of these, so I won't say very much, except that there's a humanistic reason, understanding differences in language behavior, scientific reason. One of the things that we're trying to do, and Jeffrey will show you an exercise, is teach students about the laws of language as they govern language patterning. The historical reason, understanding language's history. How can you understand the history of a state, for example, like Alabama or North Carolina, and not know something about its language history? To understand history is to understand something about the language situation. The cultural reason. Language is culture. And we'll see that reinforced over and over again. And then the last point, there's a utilitarian reason. Our programs are not a counter-reaction or a opposition to learning standard English. As a matter of fact, we feel that people who feel good and feel informed about the way they speak from their background are going to make better learners of standard English. So learning about a vernacular variety of Southern English or Appalachian English or African American English will in fact make someone more willing to take the risk and understand the cosmetic of standard English. So it's not an opposition movement, it's actually a complementary movement. We also understand, and you'll see, and I won't say too much about it, and you'll also see that one of the things that we understand is that we have to dovetail what we do with existing standards and state objectives and so forth. You know, because everything has to say, okay, you have a new program. And as it turns out, our programs are geared currently for 8th grade and social studies. And there's a very good reason why we do that. One is because nobody cares what you teach in social studies when you teach state history, so you can fly under the radar, all right? And they're more willing to give up time to do these sorts of things. And the state standards in terms of what you have to know and be tested on at the end of the year are not as sort of overwhelming as they are in language arts. By the same token, we feel that our programs should be taught across the curriculum. So language arts teachers, social studies teachers, and others should come together. And you'll see here a set of state, the state social studies program as outlined by the state, and I won't go into these because you can read them for yourselves, and also the objectives from the 8th grade social studies program, and how our program on language awareness and language differences. So, for example, if you just say on page 2, briefly say something like, 1.01, competency goal 1. Analyze important geographic, political, economic, and social aspects of life in the region prior to the Revolutionary period. Assess the impact of geography on the settlement and developing economy of North Carolina of the Carolina colony. Okay, so the point is that geography and settlement have shaped the linguistic landscape of North Carolina from the Outer Banks through the coastal plain to Piedmont and the Appalachian Mountain. All right, now, so it's kind of funny because when we went back to teach the program this year, all right, in concert with this goal, we walked into class and we had some kids that we taught last year as well. And the first thing they did to Jeff and me, they came up and said, "Isocloss, give me $1." All right, now how many of you know what isocloss is? Okay, the linguist, right? The classroom teacher didn't either, all right? And she said, ooh. But the kids didn't. They know that they got $1 if they knew what isogloss was last year. An isogloss, like a thermogloss kind of thing, all right, is a line that delimits where one dialect feature stops and another starts geographically. Okay, so they're learning something about geography. And the teacher was kind of embarrassed that these kids know this term, and they were getting $1 for it, and she was getting no money at all, and she was currently underpaid. Okay, but the point is that these programs totally dovetail with the objectives of the social studies curriculum. Okay, so rather than go through these more, what I'm going to do is we're going to play you an excerpt of an example of humanistic activity. And this one is about the Cherokee Indians. Now, of North Carolina, and you've heard about that from Pam Monroe, that they still preserve their language, and the tragedy of the Trail of Tears, in which many were displaced to Oklahoma and so forth. Okay, so prior to this vignette, which you're going to see in 1 minute up there, so get warmed up, we have to use these codes to indicate when the vignettes are coming on. Okay, so this is what the kids are given, except that it's more graphically appealing than it is here. We sort of cut out the graphics to save trees. Okay, so why do you think the Cherokee language has been preserved while other Native Americans in North Carolina have disappeared? Languages, what are Cherokees doing to preserve their language? Do you think that these attempts for preservation of language will be successful? Why or why not? What would be lost if the Cherokee language disappeared? Evaluate this claim made in the video. Language is culture, and culture is language. And this is an example of a humanistic activity in terms of language in North Carolina. Can we get the volume up?
The isolation that contributed to the formation of Southern Mountain speech also helped Native Americans preserve their heritage in the rising tide of European culture. In the North Carolina mountains, the eastern band of Cherokee Indians continues to speak their native language.
That's how I speak in college. I speak all the time. If they didn't understand me, I get after them if I speak English. I said, I always tell them I speak in Cherokee.
Well, I use Cherokee, but anytime I'm talking to a Cherokee, it don't matter where it's at. I'd rather talk Cherokee than English.
That's who we are. Our language is who we are. Once you start learning the language, it branches out to all other areas, history, cultures, traditions. So when they're learning the language, they're learning, everything about the Cherokee people as well.
Language is culture, and culture is language. I think that it's important for the Cherokee people to know their language. And today, people like me, and there's many people that are interested in doing the same thing, and that is to teach our culture to the children, which includes the language.
Many people can say they can speak two different languages, and especially a Native American language, and I think it's pretty cool that that's our heritage, that we're learning our heritage and stuff.
They said this perspective.
They did speak in Cherokee, mostly all of them, way back when I was growing up. There wasn't too many people that speak in English, just a few of them. And you go to the home, they all speak in Cherokee, everywhere you went. And now, you can't go nowhere and they say, I don't know how to speak it.
Like the Cherokee, the Lumbee Indians are...
Okay, it then goes into the Lumbee Indians, another Native American group that actually doesn't speak a Native American language but has a distinct dialect identity.